Scene takes place in King's Landing inside the Red Keep, which is still under repair at the temporary King Chambers in a solarium hall late that evening. What is your business here? I am the youngest sibling of House Clegane. I have heard my brothers are dead, and I am here to claim that which is rightfully mine. However, I need permission to do so. I hear that Brandon Stark is currently the king. Is that not so? It is. You will have to wait right here to see if he would like to see you. I will do so. So she walks down the hall, knocks on the door. Excuse me, Tyrion. There is someone who claims to be the youngest sister of House Clegane and wants to see King Brandon for permission to claim House Clegane. Tyrion looks up from Kingdom's financial studies for Kingdom repairs. Didn't they just kill off each other not long ago? Well, oh, wait a minute. Yes, there seems to be something about a sister. And what does she want? She says she wants to claim the empty castle of House Clegane, that it is rightfully hers. Well, I don't see any harm in that. If that is all she wants, I would go ahead and let her ask King Brandon and see if he will go ahead and allow her to claim the castle. I don't see anybody else going there, and it's pretty messy anyways. Maybe she will get some hired help to get it cleaned up. All right. So, Lady Brienne, Lord Commander of the King's Guard, then walks back to Yara Clegane. Well, it seems you can go on ahead and go on through. Thank you. And then walks down the hall and then knocks on a door. Enter. Daemara enters temporary throne chambers. Greetings, your grace, she humbly bows. I am Lady Knight Daemara Clegane, youngest sister to Sir Gregor Clegane and Sir Sandor Clegane of House Clegane, and I am here to claim my brother's castle. I have been away since I was but 14 because of the situation of the mountain who rides. Well, I'm sure you know how that was. Yes, he was a very large giant man, or a monster, or he became a monster later on. But then, as the Red Keep was under attack by Daenerys Targaryen, they killed each other. I do grieve for Sandor, my elder brother, but not for the other, the eldest brother. Sandor didn't deserve to get his face burnt over a toy that my eldest brother threw in the rubbish pile, and there was not much I could do at such a young age. My eldest brother, Gregor, was unpredictable, but Sandor, when I was so very young, snuck me out for my very own safety. But now that both are gone, I am here to claim the castle, and I need your permission to do so. Very well. Is that all? Yes, that is all. I didn't want anyone thinking I am trying to start something. No, if that is all, then I see no problem in this. Sorry for your loss. Well, one is a loss. The other is, since I had to flee, I could care less. Brandon, not knowing how to respond, remains silent with a slight smile as she bows and takes her leave, but shakes his head and thinks nothing of it. In the next visitor scene, as Lady Knight Daemara Clegane departs, both Tyrion and Brienne Tarth look shocked how tall she is, as she is about equal height to Brienne Tarth. Tyrion returns to his studies as King Johnson and his wife, Queen Mary, make themselves known. Greetings, I am King Johnston, and this is my wife and queen, Miri. We have decided after hiding and later blending in the open that we want to make our presence known. We know that you are trying to rebuild the kingdom, though the task is much more difficult than when we had to rebuild our own house from generations of the past. But we do have quite the history. Thought maybe we could seek an audience with King Brandon, catch things up with the annals of the kingdoms, and if he approves of it, be reestablished as a part of the kingdoms. All right. Seems King Brandon is getting a lot of visitors today. She goes directly to King Brandon this time, since this is one of royalty. Excuse me, Your Grace. Sorry for disturbing you again, but there is a King Johnston and his wife, and Queen Miri, seeking an audience with you. Apparently, they are of a house that was thought to have been long since extinct. Shall I show them in? Yes, I am very curious about this. All right. She walks back to the House Haraway King and Queen. King Brandon said you can go on ahead and see him. So he walks down and knocks on the door. Enter. Greetings, Your Grace. He gives a humble bow. I am King Johnston. This is my wife and queen, Queen Miri of House Weber, and my house is of House Haraway. Greetings, Your Grace. She does a curtsy. A pleasure to meet you, I'm sure. We're here to lend a hand in the rebuilding of the kingdom, and to see if you will allow us to be reestablished as part of the kingdom. My family line, though it will show in your copy of the kingdom's annals as being in extinction, my family hid long, long ago, at the time of King Meyor I Targaryen, exacting his wrath on House Haraway. Many, many years later, their earliest ancestors decided to hide out in the open, which also passed with success. Excuse me, Your Grace. Many generations later, up to the time of my birth, and now as a man, House Haraway didn't exist. But we would like to change that now. May we converse with you and catch you up with haste as to our house history? Yes, I would like that. Perhaps you can stay for tonight's banquet feasting. I feel this may take a while. We appreciate that, and yes, it probably will. So he closes the door behind him and his wife to start the story with King Brandon. There is quite the fanfare and everything, and Rhaegar's son, who is not supposed to be alive, is now married to the king's daughter, who, again, is of the House Golden Dragon, formerly known as House Blackfire. But the way Aegon VI sees it is that if his Aunt Daenerys, who he has heard through rumors, can remove Gendry's bastardy, then he can remove his wife's, because he is of a Targaryen and Martell. So he gets to meet, then, this woman who's much taller than him, with bright red hair. I think you are someone I need to meet. And you think so? And who are you, if you don't mind me having to almost get a crook in my neck looking up at you? I am Lilith. I was awoken from neither world, neither the spirit nor the seven hells, because of something I did a long, long time ago. I'm much older than you think. And so now I get to prove myself. It seems that there's something else that has been awakened after your aunt has been awakened. My aunt, she's alive. Yes, but so is something else. Apparently, some meddling praise decided to, well, grave rob a place that should have not existed and been buried under snowdrifts. But then there was a great White Walker War. As I was on my way to finding you, I did much of the research and got caught up to speed on things. Okay, so what do we do now? We march. Uh, we march. Yes, you are a prince, and your destiny is to be in Westeros in the event that Daenerys should fail. Well, I've never known my aunt to fail at anything, although I heard she was betrayed by my half-brother, Aegon VII, who is now a kin and queenslayer, although I'm thinking he doesn't know she's alive again. But in turn, I will eventually have words to say to him about that. Alright. Well, my love, it looks like we are going to go to that abandoned castle after all. It used to be occupied by House Blackfire. Alright, well, I'm ready when you are. Let Edric, my best friend, know we're going to be marching soon. So with that, he gets onto his horse, and they wait till everybody assembles the marching line, and he bids the king farewell, and the king also bids his daughter and Aegon VI farewell. It was an honor, your grace, and to everyone who brought me up when those who wanted me dead thought they had killed me, but thanks to a man, though my aunt had killed him for some type of betrayal, found it in his heart to, although it wasn't good that he swapped me for a commoner's baby, that I should be alive here today to speak to everyone. Thank you all for having taken me in. So with that, and the king applauds and everyone wishes him well, then the march goes on. Greetings, Your Grace. He kind of bows before him. I am Meyor Targaryen, and it is quite the castle you have here. I hope I'm not intruding. No, by all means. We don't get very many Targaryens nowadays. I think at the very most, wasn't since the time of the war between the Green and the Blacks that we had so many visitors. Now we're lucky if we even get to see one Targaryen. Well, I was merely a kid. So, tell me about yourself. Meyor, you said. Yes. Please have a seat. Any emotions for a cupbearer or somebody to pour some wine? Thank you, Your Grace. May I introduce you to my wife and queen? This is, Sea-Star. Not sister, but, well, because she's like a well, I won't say starfish. Yeah, you better not. Anyway, she's my wife and queen. Well, it's an honor to meet you, Your Grace. Yes, and it's an honor to meet you as well. As my husband said, we don't get very many Targaryen visitors. So, Mior, what brings you here? Well, I guess you already know. I'm pretty certain. Your sister, my mother, who is married to the one who once was a Baratheon before King Aerys II had him change his name to Targaryen because he was half Targaryen anyway. And as we all know, King Aerys II didn't like Baratheons, especially because King Robert I. But anyway, her dying of an illness. Yes, I do recall that, and I had grief for some time. Well, my sister, my half-sister, because I know that she was married to someone else, probably after whatever became my father. I think he died from, I don't know, some inherited illness from the gases of the Valyrian Doom that for some reason, at least just in my lineage anyway, seemed to pass on. Fortunately, I don't have no illness, so you need not worry. Okay, well, that's reassuring. Well, in any case, my stepfather, who married my mother, was training Prince Viserys in swordsmanship, and she was training or teaching Princess Daenerys the ways to being a proper lady, but I'm not sure if that worked or not, but I was always busy. Being the eldest, of course, I always had to do chores, and that was just commonplace. Well, the sister of mine, half-sister, Elsa Velaryon, decided to go exploring. Now, she took men with her, of course, for her own protection, as my stepfather insisted on it. But it's some time now, in fact, it's been a lot of time, since I heard this rumor about some great White Walker war. She's never returned home. This has greatly disturbed my stepfather. I believe that Daenerys, who I heard later became a queen, used to call him uncle. Does she ever ask about him? Well, I don't know. I haven't talked to her either. In fact, I don't even know if she would remember me because she was, he puts a finger up to his chin, thinks about it, stroking his chin as if he had a beard. Let's see, Viserys was 16, and that would make Daenerys 15, and because Elsa would have been younger than me because I was of a Targaryen lineage that managed to escape at the time of Valyrian Doom. So yeah, Elsa was about, I think, 17 going on 18, and I was already about 21 or 22. So it's been quite some time. I see. Well, my stepfather was going to look for Viserys to find out what happened to him. We've heard a rumor, and we don't know if it's true or not, about some savage race that had killed him. I don't know what the story is. I'm sure we'll find out one way or another. But then I offered to do the task of possibly seeing if I could find him, maybe even under a banner of peace, see who the current Cal is, maybe even make a trade, golden dragons for the whereabouts, and if he is deceased, bring his remains home. As we all know, a Targaryen, or even a Velaryon for that matter, should have a proper burial, not just be tossed out for the buzzards to eat the flesh off the bones. Yes, I agree, that would be very disrespectful. He takes a sip of wine. So, me and my stepfather agreed. He's going to go look for the missing daughter, and he set out for the north, here in Essos. I will strike out to the east. So how is it I can help you? Well, I don't have an army, and I'm not asking for yours, just merely to maybe say a few soldiers you could spare. And I don't speak High Valyrian. Well, I think we can make some kind of arrangements. So he brings in this young lady, looks like she's younger than what she actually is. He needs somebody to interpret to the Dothraki to seek out information about where Prince Viserys is, what became of him, or if he is dead, to bring his body home, if there's anything left of him. She kind of looks at Meyor Targaryen. Well, Meyor is your name? Yes. Well, I'm Chantel Valerian, and you don't look like much. Really? Well, you look like you're just a kid. I'm older than you think I am. All right. Didn't mean no offense. Yeah, you have to be careful, Miara. She does have a bit of an attitude about her. Yes, I can see that. Well, I don't think he's my type. Well, good news for you is here. I'm not here for you, and I'm not interested in seeking a companion. So you can put your mind at ease. Whatever. So, what is it that you need? Well, Muir here needs an interpreter. Other than Queen Daenerys, or Daenerys Targaryen, he does not know High Valyrian. You could interpret for him as he tries to get information. Oh, so you need my skills. Well, your tongue will do just fine. She kind of looks at him with a serious look. And you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. Well, we'll just leave it at that. The queen wife almost wants to laugh about this, puts a hand up to her face, but doesn't say anything, knowing that it's not going the direction she thought it was going. Well, my husband will be and I will be most able to accommodate you as far as the soldiers. How many do you think you might need? Oh, I was thinking about maybe a small company. I mean, it's not like we're going to war, but I don't want to go there by myself and make the Dothraki think that I am there to start something. That is true. At least if they see some numbers, and you have a banner of truce, perhaps they will work with you. So what are you going to give them in trade? Golden dragons. Well, they ought to love that. Nothing more appreciated by a Dothraki than gold or anything like that. And so, while I'm not trying to be rude, but while I give you these men, what do we get out of it? Well, should it be success, and we find him, or even if we don't, I intend to make sure you're paid as well. All right. Well, perhaps also you might try to see if we can get, if you should ever find any other Targaryens, see if we can't get some more visitors up here. I mean, not that we mind the company we have, but like I said, we just don't get a whole lot of Targaryen visitors anymore. Well, I will keep that in mind. I'm sure my stepfather would love to pay you a visit, but he's always been busy, and especially now looking for Elsa Velaryon. Yes, well, that I can understand. Um, because your sister, my mother, she didn't really tell me a whole lot, but I was just wondering, just out of curiosity, you and your wife, no, not that I mean an offense, you can speak plainly if that's what you're worried about. Well, during the War of the Green and the Blacks, Velaryons were supposed to have been bright blonde hair, but much darker, like your wife and queen. And yet you are like me. Well, I can explain that. So, clears his throat and takes a sip of wine. In the Valyrian Doom, as you know, there was one called Danny the Dreamer. Now, the original Velaryons were actually Valyrians, and they were allowed to intermarry with some ancient race that no longer exists called the Andromedians. We were the higher authority over the Targaryens. Of course, there was one that was supposed to be the one who's promised, the first anyway. And he didn't like the decision that was made. But at that time, we were the superior Valyrian race. When the Valyrian Doom occurred, most of us, or at least a small amount of us anyway, managed to escape during that horrific event. And then it was, from what I've read in the records of my family's lineage, there's not many of us around. I think that my father, after he passed on, it was just me and my sister, whom your stepfather married. So, Valyrians is kind of considered a rare race, but a pureblood race. Well, Velaryons did have a lineage as almost as old as ours, but obviously, everybody needs to have some companion in their life. And so, long story short, I met Seastar here, and we have gotten married, and well, there you go. Sorry if my children aren't available, but our children, well, they like to go play or take care of chores or something. Well, that's okay. Maybe some other time. And then he looks over at Seastar. Your name sounds familiar. It does. Yes, there was I believe she was part Targaryen. And it was during the time of the War of House Blackfire, and there was one called Seastar. By any chance would you have been named after her? It does seem to ring a bell. I hear that she was, well, quite aloof, voluptuous, and loved to frequent men a lot. Not that I would do such a thing. Well, no, I wasn't thinking that you would. Good, because I would probably be offended at that. But yes, they decided that she did do some good. She happened to be one of the founders of the old ancient Targaryen faith, who had to remain hidden because of the old Faith of the Seven, who didn't get permission from Robert the First, who was conquering the Iron Throne at that time, to do a crusade and hunt down and try to exterminate old House Targaryen faith. So she became the next one in line to keep the faith of fire and ice religion that Targaryens and Velaryons believe in continuing. And for some reason, they decided that since she did good by going into that occupation, that I should be named after her. I see. Well, that would definitely explain some things. Then the leader of the Velaryon forces come in. Your Grace, we have about 30 men. Will that suffice? Will that do you? Yes, that will work just fine. This is Meyor Targaryen. You will be leading the forces, but he is in charge. Do you understand? Yes, Your Grace. And what shall I call you? You should call me whatever you like, but my name is Nelson Velaryon. That's kind of an unusual name. You got a problem with it? Nope. And just so you know that I'm not easily intimidated either. You and I have much in common, I can see already. Very well then. So we'll just keep this strictly business. I wouldn't have it any other way. So he walks out. Well, I can see you two are going to get along quite well already. I hope that's not going to be a problem. No, as long as he doesn't make it a problem. Oh, don't worry, he won't, because he would have to answer to us. Well, I thank you for your hospitality and your assistance, and I hope that we will meet again. I hear that there is an explorer coming up from the east, and she started from the west. And the rumor is it's a start, but we don't get many wolves wandering the desert. The king started loud about that. That is true. I hear tell that dragons usually fly over Essos, but you never find a wolf wandering the desert. I suppose this might be a good reason for you to come back, because I'd love to hear how the story ends on that one. Well, when we meet, or should we meet, I will let you know how that turns out. Very well then, until next time. So he bows before the king and queen and leaves the castle of House Velaryon. Excuse me. I said, excuse me. Yes, she humbly bows. Aren't you one who once swore an oath to be a supporter of Queen Daenerys Targaryen? I am Wendaenah, Mistress of Whispers. I'm Morian, the Ruling Prince of Dorne. And yes, I was, but that's before she died. Are you sure she's dead? Come on now, stop joking around. I'm a busy man. Oh, yes, counting coins for the realm of the kingdoms. How can I forget? So why is it that you're interested in my past allegiance before Daenerys was killed? Well, things may come about that you're not aware of, and following in the good footsteps of the old former Master of Whispers, Lord Varys, word has it that that which you think is gone may be returning. Are you here to speak in riddles? No, obviously not. But you should know that you may come to find a surprise that Daenerys is not dead. Right. Really? And why would you say that? Just out of curiosity. I'm not allowed or at liberty to say why. But considering that the Queen Yara Gryejoy has already decided to go back to the oath she once swore, you might consider this yourself. After all, you have been not very busy as far as taking any interest of what's going on in the realm of the kingdom, other than counting your golden dragons. And why is it that you have such a great interest in this? And why are you even here? Then you kind of notices the Targaryen emblem. And yet no one's noticed you wearing the dress that you wear. Well, being the Mistress of Whispers, nobody seems to care about what I wear, as long as I'm not drawing attention to myself. And I'm here to see a friend I have not seen in some time. She is Marcella, a friend I used to know when I was growing up. We used to be playmates. And I'm just concerned that, well, if you appear useless, something could, by chance, happen. Are you trying to threaten me? No, not at all. I'm merely trying to give you a warning. Did you know that the barracan is an insect of, how you'd say, much cunning and loves damp and dark places? A barracan, aren't those a rare type of, like, something like a spider? Yes. Lord Varys was considered to be a spider, but he would have been symbolic to the male spider. You see, the barracan, female spider, doesn't act in the same way that a male spider acts. And since I am yet to establish and prove myself worthy of one that you still believe is deceased, Daenerys Targaryen, I can tell you this much, that the barracan, it does things that are considered treacherous. It is alluring, and it lures its prey in, even one who wishes to mate with them. And what makes you think that if you're this female spider, he wouldn't just call somebody right now to have you picked up? Well, I'm getting to that because I knew you were going to bring it up. You see, anything happens to me, and I've already made a new ally, one from House Frey, since there is no more Baelishes from the former owners of brothels, Peter Baelish. He comes from House Frey, and he wishes to establish investment and pick up where the brothels were left off, since the sparrows of the Faith Militant pretty much made a mess of things and closed those down. He, being my ally, means I also have a protector in case something were to happen to me. And like the barracan, it chooses dark and damp areas, and she grabs his arm suddenly, kind of gives him a shock as he looks at her suddenly. It strikes without you knowing it, and you should be careful. Because if you do not choose the right sides, the allure would be to your disadvantage. And like that of the barracan who mates with the male spider, it usually eats the mate after it's done mating with the mate. He clears his throat and, well, I'm not going to threaten you if that's what you're worried about. Oh, I know you wouldn't, because it would be the wrong thing for you to do. Well, you say you're following Lord Varys' footsteps, but aside from that, wasn't he supposed to be one that, well, he could never get married and have a mate because he was cockless? Well, lucky for him, I guess, although it was because of a wizard that did something to him long, long ago. Although Lord Varys did get his revenge eventually. I, on the other hand, cannot say I'm that lucky. Right. Women don't have cocks. Are you certain about that? Well, most women I know don't. Unfortunately for me, and this is not the first, Back in Essos, there was a time when there was a great disease. Tyrion might remember, and he met such a woman. She had the cock of a man. But before she could actually mate with anyone, the disease finally eventually took hold and she died. I, on the other hand, well, it was a birth defect. No one seems to know how or why it happened, and it doesn't happen in our world very often. It's very rare. But I was treated as an outcast. They could have probably lopped it off, but they decided to throw me out like a piece of garbage. The people who train Masters of Whispers decide to train women as well, and they took pity on me. So I used my skill of my tongue to check on things for certain coin for those who wish to have the upper hand and support for their kingdoms. Long story short, after I was trained, I became the wonder of men and women. You see, Moran, if I wanted to, I could easily get a woman pregnant, and yet allow a man to get me pregnant. I am quite well endowed, I assure you. I'd have to see that to believe it. Well, it would not be very wise for me to just show you my cock. It's not something that's proper in the realm of kingdoms, and I don't do things like that. It is my choice who I decide I shall show my blessings to. In the meantime, I just wanted to introduce myself to you, and for your own sake, you know the old saying about loose tongues. They may come to wake up one day and find that barraconda spider above them, and if they're lucky, maybe the only thing they lose is their tongue when you least expect it, and you won't be able to holler for help if you don't have a tongue. Okay, point well taken. So then they stop and face each other. So what is it you want me to do? I mean, like I said, I'm a busy man. I help count the realm's kingdom's coin and everything. Well, I think you should decide, hopefully soon, whose side you're going to be on. You once had an oath with Queen Daenerys. You might want to search and find out if you still have the ability to give her such an oath. Otherwise, as I said, one day you might find that your position as a ruling Prince of Dorne could be easily removed. And it's not by me or my hand, but perhaps someone within your own kingdom's hand. You just never know about these things. Well, it was nice chatting and meeting with you, Moran, Prince of Dorne. I do hope you'll take my words of wisdom and warnings to heart, that we didn't have this conversation, and you don't know about Daenerys being alive, even though I told you. But you should consider whose side you're on, because if you wait too long, it may slip you by, and you may find yourself the one who's next to be the outcast. So she doesn't say another word, and then, in a seductress way, walks off towards the Red Keep Castle to visit her friend, Marcella.